Hello, my gorgeous darlings. Half term is finished. We've got through another week of lockdown. And for those of us who have kids, we're back to that mad juggle of, making sure the online schooling's going okay and working and all of that. So we need to keep on top of it. And I thought, I've always got through life with humour, often terrible humour. Well, you've all heard my laugh enough times. I'm really sorry about that, by the way. Yes, humour has been a big thing in my life. And play, being playful, being childlike. And I thought, people are struggling, and we are. We just are, aren't we? Let's be honest. So I thought, I've shared a lot of touch with you. I've shared a lot of yoga, acupressure, shiatsu. And I thought today, why don't we make it a little bit playful? And it'll be nice for the kids too, those of you who have kids, because it's a nice way to get them to express through play therapy. It has the most amazing, wonderful results. I've had non-verbal children actually say their first word with me through play therapy, which, well, I mean, it has. I've had to try and take a deep breath and keep it together when that has happened. And it's happened 2 or 3 times now. Also, kids who are really sick of going to see having regular therapy sessions, counselling, things like that. And that's no offence to anybody. It's a bit like me with my therapies, that it might not be for everyone. And sometimes I think, and a lot of kids, especially those who are cared for children or children who are transitioning into adoption, I very often find that, and they say it to me, the last thing they want is to feel like they're having yet another therapy session. So through play, it's amazing what you can achieve. And it's just taking games that are lying around, things like Uno. Most families probably have this. A set of playing cards, simple things. And even if you don't have those things, you could pop onto Amazon or eBay and get these things really cheaply. So it doesn't break the bank, because we're all having to be a little bit careful at the moment as well. So I'm aware of that. So no one needs to rush out and buy stuff. That's not how I work. I keep things really simple. And really, when I use play therapy, it's really a starting point. And by that, I mean, it's a conversation opener. It's not me sitting there with a notepad, making notes as a child answers me. It's having fun. And very often, kids who have been sitting on something for a very long time that they've been unable to speak about, they will very often speak with me. And I think it is just because we're being playful, we're chatting about things, that trust is being built. I'm doing it with them, which instantly, if you sit down, it's a bit like reading a story to a child. If you sit down, and even with teenagers with playing cards, if Uno's a bit babyish, you can, it's a way to sit down and be honest with each other. It's a way to connect. So you're never an adult just doing stuff for your child. You're meeting them where they are at, which is key to all my therapies. Everything I do is always meeting the child where they are at. And these games, as I say, are conversation starters. They're a way to get, who knows where we'll fly from there. I was working with somebody last week and we did a game of feelings Jenga, which I've shared on another video, and we ended up talking about art and colour and what different colours make us feel like. So for her next session, I'm going armed like a massive rainbow. So it's see where you flow with it, make it playful. And after their online schooling, it might be really nice just to sit and do that with them. When we read our children's stories, as I was about to say before I flew off on a massive tangent, the child fills with serotonin, the hormone of happiness, confidence, self-esteem, which is huge in these times of COVID. So many people of all ages are suffering with this. It also fills them with oxytocin, the hormone of love and nurture, that helps to connect us with our emotionally intelligent parts of the brain. Things like compassion, good judgment, empathy, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, generosity, seeing consequences, forward, all those sorts of things, good judgment, So I'm going to crack on. And what I thought I'd do today, because a lot of kids are finding it really difficult to talk about exactly how they feel. So let's keep it light, let's keep it playful. Let's be honest, if somebody sat most of us down and said, right, come on, what's wrong, make a list, talk to me, it can feel a little bit too much, a little bit invasive, a little bit, and sometimes you don't always have the words, you don't exactly know what it is. You know, if you're suffering with long-term anxiety, long-term depression, you don't always know how to put it into those words. So by exploring the core emotions and putting them into a game, you're not only filling the kids with serotonin and oxytocin, but you're also, because you're playing it with them and being honest with them, you're sharing things about your feelings, things that have happened in your life. It helps with that trust, with that bonding. And when we explore the core emotions, you would be amazed how many children I work with who do not even know the basic core emotions. So there are 8 of them, and they are anger. I've written them down here because I've got them all for the different numbers of the game, which I'm going to get onto. So you've got anger, anticipation, joy, sadness, trust, fear, surprise, disgust. You know, and it's exploring what all of those mean. Last year, when we were in between COVID and actually just before the first lockdown back in March, I remember working with several children, and we made a game with stones and like a little treasure hunt, and one of them was joy. And I did this with a few of my groups, and you know, I had about 5 or 6 children say to me, "But Juliana, what is joy?" I mean, that's pretty sad. When I was little, I knew what joy was. I knew what that was, you know, and I see it as the colour yellow, which is why yellow is my favourite, and you're always in a bit of trouble if I'm wearing yellow. So I thought what we could do is put it to a game of Uno, exploring the core emotions. And whether you've got just an only child, you're a single parent, you know, so long as there are 2 of you, you can play this. Obviously, if you're only in hospital or going shopping, it's a bit difficult, I know. So I do apologise for those who are self-isolating, because this is a little bit difficult to do unless you have somebody else with you. But I'm going to come on to that later. So here we go. So you shuffle the cards and imagine you've dealt them out to however many of you there are. And if you've got really little children, you could just do it by colour. So as we all know in Uno, red, yellow, blue, green. So you could do 4 of the basic emotions. You could do happiness, fear, anger, joy. Keep it balanced, you know, get the kids to explore that and see, and say to them, where do you feel it in your body? You know, when you think about being angry, where do you feel it in your bodies? Get them really in tune. It helps with all those emotionally intelligent skills, which are so important, because our EQ, our emotional intelligence, is so important to help us grow to its full potential, our IQ. And they're very, very, very much linked, which is why I wish Boris would start realising that mental health policies are absolutely everything to do with education policies. They're not separate things. But I'm not going to go on a political rant, because you're probably all sick of all that anyway, all over the media. So you could do it by colour. If the kids are a little bit older, kind of middle school age, I don't know, 6 to 12, you could do the numbers. If they're a bit older than that, you can use a pack of playing cards. So obviously with Uno, it goes up to 9. So we've got 8 core emotions. So you could make number 9 a free choice. So if somebody gets a 9, they can just come up with another emotion that they feel and what that's felt like in their bodies. So for me, it would be humour. And I feel that all over my body, unfortunately. And I nearly always have a sense of humour overload when I shouldn't. And that makes it about a million times funnier. And I'm there with my eyes streaming, and it's just horrendous, and I can't make eye contact with anyone because I would just dissolve. I had to be escorted from a church once because of that. It was so embarrassing. Anyway, I probably shouldn't have shared that, but that's me. We all know what I'm like. So imagine, so you're all laying your cards. So I've pulled out a 7, and 7 on my list is sadness. Now, if you've got a really little child, they will still probably have had moments of sadness. It might have been when their favourite programme was cancelled, or they couldn't see a friend because of COVID and it made them sad. You know, if it's an older child, you could even explore where they feel it in their bodies. So where do you feel sadness in your bodies? And for me, it's in the heart. When I'm really, really, really sad, my blood feels heavy in my heart. That's the only way I can explain it. And I feel sad. I felt sad in my own life about things. When I lost my beautiful Italian nonnas, that was heartbreaking. But I've also felt tremendous sadness for other people. My journey with my son who has autism, I've had moments of absolute grief during that journey, for other kids who I work with, for other people. So you can talk about, you know, how it relates to other people if you've got older kids. So let me do another one. I've got 5. Yellow, my favourite. But actually I've put 5 as fear. So where do you feel fear? Well, I actually feel it in my gut. I get this horrible swirly feeling in my gut. And actually the gut, the second or enteric brain, holds on to fear. It's the seat of meltdown. It's also where we feel excitement very often. But if a child says to you, well, actually I feel it in my arms or I feel it in my head, they're not wrong, because we're all unique individuals. So it's not a game where they're going to get anything wrong. It's just a game where they're exploring them and beginning to come out with all these feelings instead of pushing them all down into their gut. Because it's amazing as human beings how quickly we learn as children to push things into our gut, to not upset the status quo, to keep things, to try and fit in at school, to squash those feelings down. So it's really, really important we keep our kids talking, whatever age they are, and ourselves, because we're not superhuman either. So that's a really important thing. Right, let me do one more. I've got a 9, so I get to choose. So I'm going to go with humour. And I've already shared a little bit, and I do feel it all over my body. But when I'm absolutely helpless with laughter, it comes from the gut. It does. It comes up, almost comes up through my legs, and it definitely fills my heart, and it absolutely fills my head. And yes, I find really weird things funny. I'm afraid I've got a bit of a banana skin humour. And when people make rude noises, and I'm so sorry, it's very childish, I know. But I do, and when some of the kids I work with describe things in such a way, and it's my own kids are terrifically funny, and they'll describe someone or something, and they have me howling. My son Ollie with his languages, he's always made up languages since he was little, and his little boo, and some of those have me in gales of laughter. And the thing is, I've learnt those languages, so we can have whole conversations in these languages, and they are really, really funny. It's our thing. And weirdly, when I was younger, I used to make up languages too. Now, how bizarre is that? And my Ollie does it, my son who's on the autism spectrum. So it's a really good way to explore, just through a game of cards, just through Uno. You could even do a game of Snap. You know, if it's little kids, do the colours. If it's older kids, you know, or you could make it into any card game you like, you know. And with a pack of playing cards, you're obviously not just doing the core emotions, because it goes, the ace is 1. So 1 for me is anger. And if you think about anger, you know, why do we have anger? We're always told you shouldn't be angry. But what about if it's what I call righteous anger? You know, when I did my history degree and I learnt about what was done in the concentration camps, I had sadness, I had anger, very, very much so. And that's righteous. Nobody would look at that and think, oh, that's lovely. You know, don't be angry about that. Or if you hear, you know, really terrible news, or it's somebody who's come into your space who is dangerous. You know, anger is there to protect us. And there's a very big difference between having moments of anger, being aware, having good judgment, and being angry. Being angry isn't nice, but all of us have a right to be angry. You know, if somebody comes up and gives you a punch for no reason, you're not going to say, oh, do you know what, I'm so full of joy. Thank you ever so much. Could you do that again, please? You're just not, are you? You're going to be a bit cross, and that's fair enough. So it's there to protect us as well. And if you think of us as human beings, we're a spectrum of emotions. We're a rainbow of emotions. And that is our humanity. And it's learning to sit with that. Most of all, to how to respond to that. You know, what do you do when you're angry? And sometimes it's absolutely fine to go and find somewhere and have a good yell. It really is. Or for those who have a lot of anger because of things they've been through in their life, a punch bag has been amazing for them. Better than going out and punching a person. You know, so there's all different strategies, and you can begin to talk. So the game then becomes a conversation starter. I'm talking ever so much. I always do. I'm so sorry. I really do need to make short films. Anyway, playing cards. So the ace is 1. And I put here, I've brought a little bit of positive growth mindset in, particularly for the kids, kind of 11, 12, where they're beginning to make decisions about their lives, enter adulthood, puberty starts a lot younger now, sometimes around 9 or 10, as you all know. So for me it was late, I was about 25. Anyway, I've been late with everything. So 10 could be a free choice question, so you can ask somebody anything they like. If they pull it, they can ask you anything they like. If you're doing it in a group, they can choose and you can all answer, or one person can answer. Play with it. Let the kids make it their own. Let the kids say what they want the numbers to be, because then they're taking charge of it. I never, when I run play therapy sessions, I never set the game out. I always work with the kids and say, right, what should we make number 1? What should we make number 2? What should we make that colour? Because it's that creativity, imagination, expression, inclusion, trust. You know, you're inviting them to meet you on a level, and it makes all the difference. And you'd be amazed what they come out and talk with you about. So with the Jack, I put name a dream or a goal. Particularly at the moment, having a dream or a goal is so, so important with all the mental health problems we have. It's a massive one in the positive growth mindset, and it's one of the major building blocks of resilience. So, you know, what's your passion? What's your song? What are you really interested in? And it doesn't have to be within the four walls of a classroom, you know. As I've said before, I didn't sit in class at the age of 6 and think one day I'm going to make up a whole new job that's never existed before, where I will take massage into schools to help kids with different abilities or disabilities or whatever term you want to use. It didn't exist. So life is a journey. It's what you do with those cards. So the Jack is name a dream or a goal, because even through COVID, we can still hold on to our dreams or our goals. My daughter, one of her dreams is to do acting, and so we've still, even through COVID, we can still go to castings with face masks on. She can still send in her videos. You can always find a way to try and keep that goal going. This is my song, this is my dream, is to leave my footprint in the world somehow through making a difference to kids, to people of all ages. And even if it's in a very small way, I will be full of yellow joy. So, and that's been ridiculously hard during COVID, hence having to bombard you with my YouTube channel and various other things like my public online Facebook group, online rainbow therapies for kids and families, writing articles for Anna Kennedy, you know, and I know I do all of this for free, but it's keeping my dream alive. So keep onto your dreams. So Queen, name a mistake, and I've put that in inverted commas because for me, with the positive growth mindset, there isn't failure. It's the first step on your way to learning. We only learn when we make mistakes. We're not learning when we're getting everything right. Embrace it. So it's name a mistake, in inverted commas, that you learned from. So I learned one recently where, because I share so much freely, there was somebody who was really taking a little bit of advantage, and I kept replying to all these personal messages about their child for nothing, which is fine. And then lots of other people started doing it, and I did have to rein it in a little bit because it ended up making me feel a little bit depleted. And I thought, well, I'm doing enough for free, so book a Zoom session, you know, and that was really, 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 really hard for me, really hard. I still overran by half an hour and didn't charge them. So I'm still learning, King, someone you can turn to when you are stressed. And that could be, because in the building blocks of resilience and the positive growth mindset is all about having a trusted family member, having a trusted friend, having somebody at school. And for many of the kids I work with, they don't have anyone in any of those areas. So again, it's about building trust. You know, it's talking about those sorts of things. So I will very often take playing cards into children's homes pre-COVID. You know, now I do it on Zoom sessions and things. And you just pick one. So 9. 9 is, that was humour. I've answered that one, so I don't want to do the same thing. 8, disgust. What has filled me with disgust? What has filled me with disgust? When people really harm others and they don't have the emotional capacity to realise what they've done, and so therefore aren't sorry and continue to perpetrate that. That's one thing. Another thing that really hurts me is when people do, what disgusts me is when people with disabilities, different abilities, are not treated as full human beings. The fight us parents have to have for basic things that parents of neurotypical children don't even need to worry about is shocking. And again, it's why I spend a lot of my free time doing talks and really raising awareness about this. It is a fight, it's a battle, and I think that's disgusting. I really do. Any child being deprived of anything fills me with disgust, because they're wet cement, we're shaping them. Right, I'll do one more. 7, sadness. No, I've done that. Right. Oh, so I've got a queen. Sorry, a king. I can't read. A king. I've got a king. Someone I can turn to when I am stressed. Well, I have a very beautiful family, so I have got a couple of really, really, really dear friends. I'm so blessed like that. And for somebody who really wasn't allowed friends for 17 years, I really treasure that. It's beautiful. So thank you to all my friends out there, my beautiful kids, and thank you to all of you lot for listening. I've gone on a bit this morning, but it's just because I really am anxious actually for our young people to tell us where they're at, to talk about how they're feeling, but to do it in a way that doesn't feel like an interrogation. You know, I've got, my youngest son is 15, I've got another daughter who's 19, and my older sons are in their early 20s, so I've kind of got 4 through teenage, getting 1 through, and very often the last thing they want to do is come in and tell you how they feel, and this was before COVID. So if you're doing it as a game, it includes everyone, and kids love to know what you've done that you're embarrassed by, mistakes you've made, things that make you human, things that tickle you and you can't stop laughing, you know, things that make you sad. It makes you real to them. You're not just mum or dad or a teacher or, you know, a carer. It makes you real. You're sharing things on a human level. So I'm going to leave you with those thoughts. Keep it playful, keep it light. My son was so down last night, thinking that he had to go back to isolating on his own and doing the online learning. So bring fun in, bring games in. You know, I said to him, it's not going to feel like it's not half term. We're going to get through this. So it's a sunny day where I am. I hope it is where you are. And you never know, just playing this game with somebody might just be the thing they need to open up and get talking. You know, it's the quiet ones you've got to watch out for. And sometimes the ones who are very good at masking it too. So it's a lovely way to sit down, bond together. And if you're on your own, I did say I'd come back to this, you could have the cards on your own and you could pull them out. So I've got 7, which is sadness. So where do I feel sadness? So I imagine a sad time. Put your hands there, and it's back to these breathing, the mindful breathing exercises. So breathe in through your nose and pick a colour that you feel will help take away that pain. We relate, our brains are very visual, very literal, and colour is huge. So for me, it would be a beautiful soft pink, like the colours of the sunrise, or a deep, rich, limey green, like those first spring leaves, pink or green, and I feel it in my heart. So I put my hands on my heart, I breathe in all the sunrise or sunset colours or green, and as I blow out, I'd fill my heart with that colour, and you will be amazed. And do it, your hands might even get warm, so do it. You know, where do you feel anger? Where do you feel humour? You know, yellow for me, I'd be breathing yellow into that and making myself feel even more humorous. So play with colour too. I've trained in colour therapy. Different colours are meant to mean different things. But again, I found in my experience, what some people find a gorgeous colour, others can't bear. Orange is meant to be a colour of absolute creativity. It's my very least favourite colour, and yet I'm so creative. It actually makes me feel sick. I don't know, it kind of, I feel it in my tummy, and emotions I've pushed down, and so I don't like orange. I find it too much. But for other people, it's the most amazing colour, and they go and paint all their walls in it. So it's individual. You can't get anything wrong. So if you're isolating on your own, it's really good to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth and breathe a colour. And if you can't see a colour, it doesn't matter, just breathe. Just push your breath to that area and fill it. And see if you feel different, you know? It's wonderful. I've talked loads. I'm going to leave you in peace now. You'll all be rushing for the paracetamol. I do apologise. I think this is the longest video I've made yet. And I shall see you next week with more ideas and more ways to help keep us all safe and happy during these challenging times. So look after each other, everybody, and I'll see you then. Take care, darlings. Bye-bye.